Sure.
You know, the way that things are communicated and the onus that we take as a community to educate our kids, not just during the school day, but after school as well.
Well, that leads into, I mean, our school buildings, facilities, but they are open. You know, we have the buildings, they're obviously up and available to use virtually 24/7 if we wished. They're used in a much different way depending upon the type of building and the time of the year and what they physically have the capability for heating and cooling things. But we're looking at cost controls for going ahead. The economic times of this past year or so aren't going to go away on the town level for another couple of years, where we're going to be facing some more crunches. And the ideas that you folks have expressed as newcomers of how else can we better use our facilities, what are the ways that we can turn around and cost control and get better value out of them. Things in the public sector sometimes are very difficult to change, and it's a slow process that we alluded to earlier. And being in the private sector, as you two on the ends here are, then you can get frustrated with that. Reflections that you have, Sue, first on change and other adaptations that you would like to be a part of?
Well, I think a great place to start looking for change would be opportunities to perhaps combine some functions that are done on the town side as well as the Board of Ed side.
Okay. That's one of the things that mentioned the municipal accounting system as one before, where then training and so forth going ahead. Financing as well for control facilities and buildings that we're talking about, of having a common thread of tradesmen and things that then work on buildings and going ahead. John, you?
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff's very important. I think one of the things that you have to do, that we always do, is you gotta start with the basis. What do we have? What needs are there in the town, not only from the facilities, but from other areas? But let's focus on facilities for a second and say, what needs are the facilities have? Right now, are we doing many more things that are about, crisis situations? Something's leaking, you got to go fix it. Or is it more about, hey, we need to put a whole program together that over time we can allocate a certain amount of dollars to over the years and start getting these things fixed? We call it our backlog. How big is your backlog? How big is this town's backlog? Has anybody sat down and tried to calculate how big that backlog really is, and how are we going to take care of that backlog, and what's important and what's not?
Right. Our time is moving on here, that we want to take and wrap up in just a few minutes. For some other closing thoughts, Linda, do you have anything else that you would like to share before our time is up?
You know, being on the Board of Ed, you know, the primary responsibility is managing money, and our resources are not unlimited. And so it's about prioritizing not only within the town, what's the backlog and how you're going to prioritize your resources to deal with those, but also within our own budget. What's our backlog? What are things that we want that we still haven't been able to afford? And where do they fit in on the list of priorities? Managing money and setting policy that's going to guide us into the future about how decisions are made, and that's where our priorities are going to be based on, is what our policies are. And so those are big responsibilities, and I think that we as a board of 9 are responsible for a portion of that, but I think we also have to work very closely with our Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance to understand where we fit in the bigger picture. And I think it is all about communication.
Thank you. Sue, you had some other closing thoughts before we finished up?
It's very exciting, the prospect of serving on the Board of Education. This has been an interesting couple of months. Learned a lot, met a lot of people, had a lot of chances to get out there and talk to people and listen to what they have to say, what they need, what their perceptions are.
A couple of things we'll be doing and some other programs upcoming to stay tuned is school climate and change. As Linda indicated, policy is a very, very important part of the Board of Education job. We have a lot of money to take and control and spend, but the ultimate reason why we're there is for the children and to have an appropriate education for each one of the children that are under our indirect care, and to hire the administrators, the appropriate ones, to move that program ahead. Professional learning communities is a term that we'll be talking about later on. There's state statutes and legislation that we talked about recently on bullying and policies that make a warm, welcoming environment for our children. We'll be taking and sharing about those as well. There's nothing else that either of you have for this particular tape. We're about out of time here. I'd like to remind all the voters that coming up the first Tuesday in November is voting day here. We look for your support for the Guilford Republican Board of Ed team and also our entire slate with the Board of Finance candidates and the Mazda team heading up the selectmen's race. For more information, you can go to the website that will enable you to contact any one of us via email or give our phone numbers to call us. Mazza09.com, MAZZA09.com is the website. We look forward to your visiting that or give us a call individually. My name again is Keith Bishop, and on behalf of the Republican candidates here, John Arlen, Linda Santacora, and Sue Renner, appreciate you watching the program here, and we'll look forward to having you support us and doing a better job to take and raise our children and have a great community in Guilford. Thank you very much for joining us.